This is the Louie T Network.
In the lab room.
Who's could it be but me, your man, Louie T? Welcome. You are in the lab room, of course. I'm your host, Lou. Thank you for joining me on the program. The first ever in the lab room, Louie T Network, all rookie team. We've already talked about the offensive side of the football and given you the offensive all rookie team. Now we're going to go over to the defensive side of the football and do the same. I love this collection of guys on the defensive side of the football. I thought a lot of these guys came in, and some of these guys, you got unexpected production out of them in their rookie campaigns, really coming in and showing why they were drafted as high as they were. And to me, we're going to start with the secondary because in that secondary lies the best rookie all season long. Offensive, defensive side of the football, it doesn't matter. He was the best rookie in all of the National Football League. And I think he did not get the just due and the credit he deserved this season because you didn't see a lot of Kansas City Chiefs football. And so I'm going to tell you what I've been talking about all season long with this kid and why he has been so good and underrated in a number of respects. We're going to start at the cornerback position. We're going to Kansas City. Chiefs! And of course, I'm talking about the cornerback position and none other than MP Double Dukes. Marcus Peters. What a rookie campaign it was for Marcus Peters in Kansas City. Started all 16 games for the Chiefs. A league high, not a rookie high, a league high tied with Reggie Nelson, the safety of the Cincinnati Bengals, with 8 interceptions on the season, 2 of which went to the crib. 34 PBUs, a rookie high 34 pass breakups for Marcus Peters, and 60 tackles, which was something that we expected out of him coming out of Washington. We knew his physicality was going to help him. I equated him to Darrelle Revis because of his physicality and his ability to be physical at the line of scrimmage, not afraid to mix it up in the run game. And those 60 tackles speaks volumes as to his ability and willingness to come and support in the run game and make tackles when guys catch the football out in front of him. So Marcus Peters, without a doubt, the defensive rookie of the season for me, and a standout in the lab room Louie T all rookie team at the cornerback position. His running mate at the cornerback position, another guy that his versatility stood out in ways you can't imagine, and I think that's what got him drafted as high as it did in the 2015 NFL Draft. Once looked at as a safety coming out of Arizona State, he made his mark this season as a corner for the Green Bay Packers. I'm talking about cornerback Damarius Randall. This guy was exceptional for the Green Bay Packers this season. Played in 15 games, 3 INTs, one of them going to the house for a touchdown, 14 PBUs, was able to get his hands on the football 14 times, and 58 tackles, once again, a physical presence. And this was a guy that was a safety at Arizona State, so you know he can tackle out there in space, and you saw that with the 58 tackles. Thought he was exceptional this season for the Packers, as I mentioned before. Part of the reason they were able to not only make the postseason, but beat the Redskins and then compete in Arizona and almost steal that football game, a game in which he had an interception of Carson Palmer in the end zone. So again, Damarius Randall going to be a good one for a long time in his rookie season. If his rookie season is any indication of what he's going to be moving forward, the Packers got themselves a steal at the latter portion of the first round with cornerback Damarius Randall, who is on the In the Lab Room Louie T Network all rookie defensive team. So we move on to the safety position. And that was a position that wasn't looked at very favorably in the 2015 NFL Draft. In fact, many people had mocked one safety in the first round, including myself, that being a guy like Landon Collins, who coincidentally enough did not get selected in the first round. So then we turned our attention to Damarius Randall, a guy that I said, hey, don't be surprised if he's the only safety taken in the first round. Well, he was taken in the first round. Problem is, he wasn't a safety. The Green Bay Packers converted him to a cornerback. So your true safety, your only true safety taken in the first round of the 2015 NFL Draft was the next player on the In the Lab Room Louie T Network all-rookie defensive team. That being Dallas Cowboys safety, Byron Jones. Here's a guy out of Connecticut that jumped out of the gym and put himself squarely on the map with his combine performance, his athleticism on full display at the combine with eye-popping numbers in the vert and the broad jump, really solidifying himself as an athletic freak. He put the tape on, and a lot of things added up to this guy becoming a first-round pick. And even though the numbers don't wow you with Byron Jones, played in all 16 games, 8 PBUs, and 66 tackles, I think his versatility is something that the Cowboys are so pleased with. And this is what makes him, to me, an ideal safety in today's NFL. The ability to drop over the slot, play some nickel, play the other team's tight end, but also be able to play 35 yards off the ball, but also come in the box as a presence, as a blitzer, and as a run defender. Byron Jones can do it all. And I thought his best game of the season might have been on a Monday night versus the Redskins, taking away one of the Redskins' biggest targets in Jordan Reed. They put him on Jordan Reed for the majority of the night, and Jordan Reed did not have one of his better games against the Cowboys. And that's the type of versatility that lands safety Byron Jones on this list on the Louie T Network all-rookie defensive team. His running mate at the safety position, a guy that I just mentioned not too long ago as a safety that we thought was going to come off the board in the first round. I'm talking about New York Giants safety Landon Collins. Here's a guy that the Giants traded up to come and get in the second round, and he was really good. A lot of people thought he was somewhat of a disappointment, but Landon Collins was actually phenomenal for the Giants, and he's a building block along that defense moving forward. Played in all 16 games, 1 interception, a forced fumble, 9 pass breakups, and a eye-popping 112 tackles, tied for the most tackles of any rookie in the 2015 class. So Landon Collins putting in a lot of work. You generally don't want to see your safety having that many tackles because that means a lot of runs are popping into that secondary. But the Giants weren't that great up front, had one of the worst run defenses in the league. And because of that, Landon Collins had to literally be a safety in the back half of that defense, and that he was for the Giants. So I think the sky's the limit and the future is very bright for Landon Collins. I think a lot of people beat him up for dropping that interception versus the Patriots that would have sealed the game against the Patriots, who were undefeated at the time. He should have caught that football, but again, he's going to grow into a heck of a football player. And I think the Giants got themselves one when they drafted him in the second round. Landon Collins, the other safety on the In the Lab Room Louie T Network all-rookie defensive team. Let's go to the defensive line. Let's get in the trenches a bit, because to me, the secondary and the defensive line go hand in hand. If the secondary plays well, these guys up front get to eat. If the defensive line gets after the quarterback and they're hunting, those secondary members are the ones who benefit. So let's go to the defensive line and talk about some guys that were bagging quarterbacks at a very high rate for rookies this season. You start with Danielle Hunter, Minnesota Vikings rookie out of LSU. Here was a guy, and to me, I talked about Mitch Morse on the offensive side is probably my most surprising rookie. On that side, well, Danielle Hunter for me is the most surprising rookie on the defensive side of football, because I didn't see Danielle Hunter coming in and having an immediate impact on this Vikings defense, because I looked at him and I said, man, this kid is an athletic freak. Okay, when you watch him at LSU, he's carved out of stone. The guy looks like a Greek goddess. He runs like lightning, 4'5" guy. He's a big physical specimen, but I said he's raw. He doesn't possess a lot of moves. He's got a lot of technique, fine-tuning to do. I don't think he's a guy that's going to contribute necessarily in year one. You'll start to see him making some headway year 2, and by year 3, you've got a polished product that you're feeling good about putting on the field and starting and having him wreak havoc. And for him to come in and have the type of impact that he had in year 1, you got to be pleased if you are the Minnesota Vikings. Played in 14 games, 6 sacks, and he was coming on towards the end of the season. 1 forced fumble, 33 tackles. The youngest player in all of the National Football League. So you're dealing with a guy with a bunch of growth, a lot of room for growth. He's the youngest player in the league. And I'm telling you right now, the Vikings have a kid that they can mold into a heck of a pass rusher in the years to come. And I was very impressed with what they got out of Danielle Hunter in his rookie season. Defensive end for the Minnesota Vikings, making the In the Lab Room Louie T Network all-rookie defensive team. At the other defensive end position, Washington Redskins defensive end / outside linebacker, Preston Smith, aka P. Book. He was getting down at the end of the season, played in all 16 games for the Redskins, 8 sacks, leading all rookie rushers this season was Preston Smith. 3 forced fumbles, second in that department, only behind New Orleans Saints rookie Haioli Kikaha in the forced fumbles department. 1 fumble recovery, 4 pass breakups, showed you a little bit of his ability to drop into coverage and his versatility as an outside linebacker / defensive end, and 35 tackles. He was a guy that really started to hit his stride at the end of the season. Coming from Mississippi State as primarily a rush defensive end and a defensive tackle that would move him around, there was an adjustment to make to outside linebacker. He started to really hit his stride towards the middle in the later portion of the season. And as he started to gain confidence and got more snaps, he became more and more of a nuisance and a guy that the Redskins could rely on to get consistent pressure throughout the end of the season. And so he even got a sack in the Redskins' wild card loss to the Green Bay Packers, sacking Aaron Rodgers for a safety. He's a guy that they feel like they can rely on and count on to get consistent pressure on the quarterback moving forward. And he was a great find for the Redskins in the 2nd round. Preston Smith, defensive end for the Washington Redskins, another member of the In the Lab Room Louie T Network all-rookie defensive team. We go to the defensive tackles and the big nasties in the trenches. You're talking about the defensive tackle position, and this guy was more of a nose tackle, but he's still going to be a defensive tackle on this list. Chicago Bears rookie Eddie Goldman, and there wasn't a lot to find on that Chicago Bears defense. Not a lot of guys that knocked your socks off that you really had to game plan to stop. But of that defense, Eddie Goldman was that one individual wreaking havoc up front, getting into the backfield, getting the quarterbacks, which was something I didn't expect him to do as a rookie because I didn't see that on tape at Florida State. I saw a guy that if the quarterback held on to the football a little bit longer than he should, here comes Eddie Goldman. But if you're talking about a guy getting consistent pressure, collapsing the pocket, and getting to the quarterback, didn't see that on tape at Florida State, so I wasn't expecting that at the next level. But played in 15 games. 4.5 sacks for a nose tackle and a 3-4 defense is outstanding. And for a guy that was a rookie that didn't get a lot of pressure at Florida State, that was really eye-popping. When I saw him play on tape, I was very impressed with what Eddie Goldman was bringing to the table for the Chicago Bears up front. 22 tackles to go along with those 4.5 sacks makes for a hell of a rookie campaign for Eddie Goldman as a Chicago Bear. And in Vic Fangio's 3-4 defensive defense, I thought he was a standout for the Chicago Bears, landing him on the In the Lab Room Louie T Network all-rookie team. You move on to the other defensive tackle position, and this is a guy that you expected this out of, was the first defensive lineman taken off the board in the 2015 NFL Draft. I'm talking about New York Jets defensive lineman Leonard Williams, a guy that we talked about as potentially being the #1 overall selection for much of the draft process, fell to number 6 to the New York Jets. They could not pass up on his ability. Played in all 16 games, 3 sacks, 63 tackles. He's only going to get better. There's going to be much more playing time for him in the future. They've got some decisions to make. Remember, Muhammad Wilkerson tore his knee up at the end of the season in the final game of the season. So we don't know what his status will be moving into next year. I'm expecting him to miss probably the first 6 to 8 games of the season next year. but they want him back. He's a free agent. So Leonard Williams definitely going to see the field a little bit more. You've got a lot of talent along that defensive line. You add him to the mix. I think Leonard Williams is a guy that the Jets are really going to be happy with moving forward. And the more he plays, the more he's going to be able to wreak havoc on opposing teams. So I think the Jets feel really good about their first round pick that they spent on the defensive lineman out of USC, Leonard Williams, having a very solid rookie campaign, landing him on the In the Lab Room Louie T Network all-rookie defensive team. Let's move on to the linebackers, and this is a group of linebackers that I really felt like impacted the game tremendously for their individual teams. And I don't necessarily have inside, outside linebacker. I just got the three most impactful linebackers I could grab. And so, not necessarily going to be your traditional two outside linebackers and one middle linebacker. I just grabbed the three best rookie linebackers I could find and put them on this list. And that's what all rookie teams are all about. And so, I'm going to start with Tampa Bay Buccaneers rookie linebacker Kwon Alexander, a rookie out of LSU coming into the mix. I didn't really know what to expect out of Kwon Alexander. I said, this is a guy that fits Lovie Smith's cover 2 defense to a T, but I just don't know if there are enough snaps for this guy to get on the field. The Buccaneers had a really stout linebacking core, and I didn't know if he was going to be able to get onto the field or not, but sure enough, he found his way onto the field, and he played in 12 games, and we know about the suspension that ended his season. He missed the final 4 games of the season, and arguably a lot of Buccaneers fans lay claim to this, that the season went down the drain when he got suspended. That's how big of an impact he had on this Tampa Bay Buccaneers football team. Keep in mind, after the 13th week of the season, the Buccaneers were 6-6 and right in a position to try to make a run at the postseason. He gets suspended for the final 4 games of the season, and they lose the final 4 games of the season. Is there a direct correlation? I don't know. I won't go all out on a limb and make that assertion, but I will tell you this. They were much better defensively when he was on the field. And as a rookie, that's saying something, that your team depends on you that much. As a rookie, as the signal caller, he had the green dot on his helmet. There was a lot of responsibility placed on Kwon Alexander, and he delivered with 2 interceptions, 11 pass breakups, 2 forced fumbles, 1 fumble recovery, 3 sacks, and 93 tackles. This guy was a menace on the football field. He was everywhere. And obviously, he was a big-time playmaker for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. His best game was against the Falcons on the road, beating the Falcons. A day after his brother had been murdered, he comes in, plays the game of his life, and helps the Buccaneers go on the road and beat the Falcons. He was tremendous in his rookie season, landing him on the In the Lab Room Louie T Network all-rookie squad. You go to the next linebacker, a guy that we expected this out of in his rookie season. I was salivating over this guy coming out of Clemson. New Orleans Saints rookie Livan Anthony was a gem for this Saints defense. A really bad and poor Saints defense, but he was not the sole problem. In fact, he is part of the solution in New Orleans moving forward on the defensive side of the football. There are a lot of things that they need to fix in New Orleans. He is not one of them. He's only going to get better. This guy was all over the field, exactly the way that I thought he was going to be coming out of Clemson. He started all 16 games for the New Orleans Saints. 1 interception, a touchdown on a scoop up of a fumble, 6 pass breakups, 2 forced fumbles. Talked about the aforementioned touchdown coming off of that 1 fumble recovery, a sack, and 112 tackles, tied for the most of any rookie with Landon Collins, who I talked about as a member of this all-rookie team at the safety position. So Livan Anthony was a revelation for the Saints, but they knew what they were getting, making him their second first-round selection in the 2015 NFL Draft. They knew they were getting themselves a bona fide blue chipper, a guy that you could plug and play right away, and he came in and was a big-time linebacker for them in their defense, and a guy that they're going to build around at the linebacker position on that defense moving forward. Livan Anthony, a member of the In the Lab Room Louie T Network all-rookie defensive team. And rounding out the In the Lab Room Louie T Network all-rookie defensive team and rounding out the linebacker core, is Minnesota Vikings linebacker Eric Kendricks. And this was a guy at UCLA that I really fell in love with watching his tape. I saw a guy that was roaming sideline to sideline, was very athletic. When he was clean, he was a guy that was a menace that could get to the football. My question for him going to the next level was, what happens when you get blocked? What happens when there's a body on you? Can you disengage, separate, and get to the ball carrier on a consistent basis? And for a coach like Mike Zimmer, who loves veteran football players, I was surprised to see him get as many opportunities this season and played in 14 games for the Vikings. He had 4 sacks, and I was really impressed with him as a blitzer. I thought they blitzed him a number of times, and Mike Zimmer can be aggressive at times. And he came after the quarterback, and I was really impressed with how well he blitzed the quarterback and coming under control and bottling guys up and getting them on the ground, and sometimes being a delayed blitzer. And he had man-to-man coverage with a running back. Running back stays in the block, so he green dogs it. There were a lot of impressive feats that I saw from Eric Kendricks throughout his rookie campaign. 92 tackles. When he was in the lineup, this Vikings football team defensively was so much better. When he was out of the lineup, this was a different ball club. And there were a number of injuries that they had. You could argue his was the biggest of the group that was injured throughout the course of the season. And so Eric Kendricks, a major player for this Vikings football team moving forward. And I think he's going to be a fixture on that football team, especially on the defensive side of football in the years to come. And he's a major part of the reason why they were able to win 11 games, win the NFC North Division, and host a playoff game this year. And I expect big things from Eric Kendricks moving forward as he continues to grow in this league as a linebacker under Mike Zimmer in that Vikings defense. And so, because of his play in his rookie season, he too lands himself on the In the Lab Room Louie T Network all-rookie defensive squad. And I created one specific category for a guy because I felt like he deserved to be on this list, and it's the all-purpose rookie of the year. And I look at this guy and I think to myself, he's a jack of all trades. They hand him the football sometimes. He's a receiver by trade, but he can also give it to you in the returns game. And I thought that the Seahawks did a great job of using him in the returns game early in his career to set up his development as a pass catcher. And now he's playing with an abundance of confidence, and we saw that in the divisional round versus the Panthers, making catch after catch, some amazing catches in that game, a sliding catch for a touchdown, a couple of sideline toe draggers. He's a phenomenal athlete, was the man at K-State, and he's going to become, I think, the man over time in Seattle. Of course, I'm talking about Tyler Lockett, Seattle Seahawks wide receiver, punt returner, and kick returner. His all-purpose yardage this season, 1,915. That's right, 1,915 all-purpose yards, including 8 touchdowns, 6 of which came as a receiver, and 1 as a punt returner, 1 as a kick returner. Played in all 16 games this year for the Seattle Seahawks, and he really gained confidence as the season wore on, and you saw that and what it manifested itself into in the postseason as he was really making some big grabs for the Seattle Seahawks offense. And so I really think the sky's the limit for him as far as a wide receiver, but don't discount him as a special teams demon. He had a lot of returns, 6 returns of 40 yards or more, 3 as a punt returner, another 3 as a kickoff returner. So this guy can hurt you in a myriad of ways. And so I really feel like Tyler Lockett is coming into his own, and he's an all-purpose threat. Anytime he touches the football, he has a chance to make a big play. And I think Pete Carroll and his staff, give them credit. They figured that out early on in the process when they drafted him, they put him in a lineup, and they saw that this guy can be a difference maker, and he was that for the Seattle Seahawks in a number of different ways. Tyler Lockett, your In the Lab Room Louie T Network all-purpose player this season as a rookie in 2015. That is my list, the all-rookie team for Louie T in the Louie T Network. I thank you for joining me on this program. If it happens in the National Football League, whether big or small, we cover it all. Heat in the lab room, come back and join me as I continue to break down anything. And now, National Football League. See you next time. Thank you for joining me on the first annual Louie T Network all-rookie team.
There's plenty more where that came from. While you're here, subscribe to the channel. If you want more Louie T, be sure to follow me on Twitter at InTheLabRoom, or you can like the Facebook page at In The Lab Room. That's In The Lab Room on Facebook and at In The Lab Room on Twitter. Don't forget, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so.